All right. Good morning, you beautiful people. We have another battle report for you, and I got my coffee in hand because it is actually the morning. And I just want to say, really appreciate all the new subscribers, likes, comments. Appreciate y'all, and hopefully you find some value in these battle reports. They're just fun for me to put together, and it helps me a lot in terms of getting better at the game. And even though my primary army is Necrons, if you play another or a different army, hopefully you find some value in this battle report as well. So let's just get into it here. So we are. I'm actually based up in the Northwest, hence PNW 40K. It's kind of where the name came from. So we have, thankfully, a lot of good competitive players in this area because 8 months out of the year, it's usually raining or it's crappy weather like this, which is why I have to turn on lights in my office and all this stuff, and it's almost 8:30. So this is the life we're living right now. But we have a local clubhouse, Order Fanaticus. Shout out to them, which is pretty crazy because they were around when I played as a kid in 3rd edition. And maybe I'll do a video in a couple weeks giving my maybe journey as like a Warhammer player because I literally have not played this game since 3rd edition. And I came back right at the start of 10th. And it's a pretty cool story of how everything has come together since then because... spoiler alert, I just love this game. So getting back to the game here at the clubhouse, team practice, and playing against Aeldari was my matchup tonight. And this was definitely a green on my matrix. It is a good matchup for Necrons, mainly because he has a lot of T3 bodies. He definitely has the damage output, but anytime you have... I think a list that doesn't have like a lot of units against Necrons, they tend to do fairly well. So I knew going into this it was hopefully going to be a pretty good game for me. And there were some crazy things that happened, which I'm really excited to go over. But Ben, he is always a great opponent. Love playing this guy. Had some great laughs back and forth. And so let's get into it here. So Scorched Earth, Tipping Point, Swift Action. So Battle Line can advance in action. Let's go over the deployment here. This is my go-to Starshatter list. Even after this game, I don't think I have any changes. It felt great. We have 2 Stalkers. We have 2 Doomsday Arcs, a Reanimator. The Silent King is kind of chilling right here. You can barely see him, which is hilarious. We got Flayed Ones, the 2 Stalkers. We have Scorpex, Tomb Blades, the Imhotep the Stormlord, and the Hexmark Destroyer. Then in reserve, we have 1 Doomsday Arc, unit of Tomb Blades, one more Amitic Destroyer, and that's it. So those are the 3 units. So he's going to get first turn, and more or less the game plan going into this matchup, I think it's a really good rule of thumb if you're getting into like competitive Warhammer to help your games and simplify your headspace in terms of, one, mainly just thinking about primary. Before the game starts, I always just try to think about, okay, in this matchup, how am I going to lock in my general rules like 40 points? Of course, you'd love to go for 50, but how am I going to get that safe 40 points? And overall, what are the strengths of this list that I'm going up against, and what are the weaknesses, right? So strength, he definitely has some good damage output with the 2 Wraithguard bricks. So he has a unit of 10 right here, which are the shooty ones, and then another unit of 10, which are the melee ones. He has Avatar. He's got Striking Scorpions. He's got the Swooping Hawks that have the up-down ability. And then he has like 1 Bright Lance, Fuegan, and a couple other units. I can't remember their names, but that's more or less the list. So biggest thing that we want to expose is getting his scoring pieces off the table because he doesn't have a lot of units, and I think my list can clear that up pretty well. And more or less just kind of let those Wraithguard bricks do their thing. If he exposes them, of course, I'm going to try to take him out. But the biggest thing is those first 3 turns, I really just want to just eliminate as much scoring as I can, lock down my primary, and I think we can take this game. So he's going to get first turn. He's going to get a good pull. He's going to get Establish Locus and Extend Battle Lines. So let's move up here And this is essentially his first turn. These are all shot on my iPhone. Still turn out good. iPhone cameras, they're really good these days. So I try to take as many pictures as I can. This is more or less his movement first turn. So he's going to stage up the avatar. He's going to move this unit up here. They're just going to clip this objective on layout 1. It kind of carries over that little ruin piece right here and right here. So it's going to be an easy extend battle lines, easy locus, and pass it over to me. All right. And then as you can see here, we scouted up the stalkers 8 inches. So right here and right here. And then the Tomb Blade just fell back into this corner right here. So going into my turn, we are going to get Extend Battle Lines and Storm Hostile. So also a good pull for me this first turn. So going to be pretty straightforward as well. You're going to see these flayed ones. They're just going to shift on this center objective. Now, bear in mind, this unit here has a react move if you move within 9. So my thought process was, and I just wanted to clarify with Ben, I was like, okay, how many realistically models can we get on the point here or fit before you have to put a model over the wall? Main reason for asking that question is because if he puts a model over the wall, then for sure I'm going to be able to shoot them and kill them. So I put 2 flayed ones right here and then 1 flayed one on this point right here, which let's just fast forward and you can see what that looks like. Because if he does, basically what could happen is he could do his react move, and then if he puts 3 guys behind the wall, he's still going to out OC me, and he's going to take the point. So that's why I kind of asked some of those clarifying questions beforehand. I'd also like to preface as well, this is with Starshatter Arsenal. And I think one thing, just a good note before the games, is because this is a new attachment, a lot of people have not played against it yet. I think just common courtesy, I always try to remind Ben, like at the beginning of the round, like, hey, I can flat 6 advance like this vehicle, so this is roughly going to be its threat range. Remember, I have the flat 6 react move, and I can do -1 to wounds. So I think just, being a courteous opponent and making sure you're always operating with the same amount of knowledge is the most important thing in this game. I think that's what keeps it always just super fun. You never obviously want to gotcha people, and overall, I think that's one of my favorite parts about the competitive scene and what it's turned into is we just have a great group of competitive players in this area that just respect the game. And we all want to get better, and I think that's the biggest goal with these battle reports is just transferring that that energy, that vibe over here. So that's essentially what happened here. And that is pretty much my turn. So we're going to stage up the king. We're going to stage up this stalker here. He's going to get on the point. The positioning of this stalker is very intentional, by the way, as well. So you can see we just clip his little toe in there because we have this big brick of Wraithguard right here, and they move 6. They're range 18. So basically what we're trying to do is if I put the stalker farther out here, he just comes out, shoots it, picks it up. I don't get the primary, right? But by putting the stalker here, now he doesn't have the luxury of coming out and then phantasming or fire and fading back in. So it forces him to have to move Phantasm farther out to expose that unit, which he's not going to do, right? He's not going to expose this big brick, a lot of points to try to kill a 100-point stalker. So it more or less kind of locks in this objective and keeps it safe because he doesn't really have anything outside of that that's going to kill it in an activation. So, and then this stalker is going to move up here. These stalkers are so clutch in this detachment. I think 2 is like the perfect sweet spot. They were like the MVPs this game. They were just harassing all over the place. So going into my shooting phase, basically this stalker fires over here on this unit, and then the Silent King fires and then cleans up the rest of that squad, which was great. And then we intentionally do not put this on the objective because, again, he hasn't drawn Overwhelming Force yet, and he hasn't drawn Storm Hostile. So in the early game, always be cognizant of that. No matter what army you're playing, do not put things on the point if you don't have to. So Stalker's going to be off the point, and let's go into round 2. Okay, so round 2, he's going to get a 5 on primary. He's going to get no prisoners and cleanse. Okay, so he's got an easy no prisoners target right here. He can move over here, cleanse with this unit, and he is going to send the Avatar in and try to do some damage to this Silent King. But you can see on our positioning here, so he is going to move up his melee Wraithguard brick. Avatar's moving up. All this is staging up. We rapid ingress in the Doomsday Arc because one nice thing with the Doomsday Arc is you have, at least on this layout, you have a nice firing lane down here. And the thing is, if you rapid ingress it and then it's your turn, it counts as remaining stationary. So on your turn, if they can't hit this thing, then you're hitting on 2s, dev wounds. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Little combo. Now, obviously, only do this if, it's not going to get shot at, but it's a pretty good move. So we rapid ingress that in there. And let's go in the shooting phase. He's going to clean up 2 of these flayed ones, unfortunately. And Fuegan charges in, and this is basically, the board state. The Avatar, unfortunately, fails its charge because its base is so big it can't land right here. Very intentional placement with the flayed ones, so it either has to go basically this way or it has to go this way. And he needed he used a 6, I think, on one of his fate dice, and then he needed a 5 up, I think, and didn't get it. So Avatar was more or less stuck there. But if there's any model you just want in the center of the field that's basically super hard to kill, he's T12, he's -1 to hit. Most of the time he's -1 to wound, and he's half damage. He is arguably, probably outside of the Silent King as of right now in Starshatter, one of the toughest things to take down in the game. On top of that, using face dice for invuls and all that good stuff. So he is very annoying to kill. So going into my turn, he basically cleans up the flayed ones. And this is essentially what the board state looks like going into bottom of 2. So we're going to get engaged on all fronts and behind enemy lines. So I spend a CP to flat 6 advance this Stalker. It's going to go, 14 inches? Yeah, 14 inches, which is pretty nice. So we're going to get behind enemy lines here, which was the biggest thing. And then we threaten him to phantasm these Swooping Hawks. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick them up. I think the heavy Gauss array is the way to go on these Stalkers. 6 shots at 822 is so reliable. It's a good profile. Heat rays are nice, and having the Flamer is nice for sure. But especially for early game, the Stalkers potentially hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, most things in the game. And they're just the perfect scout killers, because then it puts scouts on 5s if they're in cover, and then you're just flat killing them. Gauss rays are so good. So he is going to phantasm these guys back so they don't get shot. Probably don't get it on the picture. And then basically here, we're just going all in. We're going full send. Let's see if we can kill an Avatar. So we got literally Doomsday Arc right here. We got the Silent King right here. We got Amidix right here. We got the Scorpec Destroyers, which we're going to get into. There's 2 super spicy moments in this game. We're coming up on the first one. The Amidix and the Tomb Blades. All right, here we go. We're firing everything at this goddamn Avatar. All right. We get this sucker down to 2 wounds. 2 wounds with all that. So he's tough, guys. Arguably one of the most busted attachments right now in the shooting, and we fired everything, and we got him down to 2. And I will preface that Ben rolled terrible against the Amidix. That is the only reason this potentially happened, because he rolled, I think I gave him 14 saves on the first unit of Amidix, and he rolled 6 ones. It was not good. So that was tough. I think the Amidix can really do it if he doesn't have the -1 to wound strat going and they're within the Silent King aura. I think that was a kind of a learning opportunity for me in this matchup, which I'll talk about at the end. I think I could have done a little bit job in the deployment on this. But so the Scorpex charge in as the insurance policy, I like to call it. You always need, I think that is the biggest thing in Warhammer. Having the balance of shooting and melee units, I feel like, is so important, because there are so many times when you will overcommit and shooting does not go as you planned. I'm sure everybody can relate. And you need to have that unit like Scorpex or something else that can go in and try and get the job done, which is what I thought was going to happen. Now, Scorpex go in, 12 attacks. They're hitting on 2s. They're getting ignore mods. It's not pictured here, but next to the king. And so they're hitting on 2s, re-rolling. I get 11 hits through. I'm like, I just need one of these 6s to be a def. Just give me one. Just give me one. We're good. No 6s. No 6s. I get 2 5s. So I'm like, this is actually happening right now. So I hand him 2 5-up saves. He makes one. He fails one. He can't phantasm the other, fate dice the other one. So the avatar dies on the nose. Lucked out there big time. That was crazy. So we do get the avatar. He doesn't deadly demise. And this is the board state going into turn 3. All right. So turn 3 is going to get a 5 on Scorched Earth again. He's going to get Secure No Man's Land for 5, and then we actually deny his containment. So let me see if I have that here. Yes. So this is actually what we're measuring out. So this is top of 3 here. So we ingress in this destroyer as to threaten this point here if I need to, or move over here. And this was perfect because we have an Overwatch threat here, so he can't move this unit out to contain. Or actually, I apologize. He moved this guy on 1 wound out here. We Overwatched him to prevent the containment. So then he actually, unfortunately, could not get containment this turn, which was huge because he needed to drop these swooping hawks in, and they couldn't get within 9 of the board edge. So again, the Stalker being super clutch in these matchups, screening pieces. It's just they're durable enough where you really have to commit some real resources to try to get rid of them. Is the best part. And they're big. They're big. They screen. They can block stuff. It's great. So he goes there. He's going to move up his Wraithguard brick. You already know. He charges in the Scorpex. I'm like, hey, Ben, do you like rolling dice? And he's like, yeah, sometimes. I'm like, 30 attacks total in the unit. He's like, yeah. 2 damage each. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you mind if I just pick these guys up? He's like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, okay. So I picked him up. So, yeah, Scorpex are dead. So going into bottom of 3, we're going to get a 10 on primary again. Farming that CP with Imhotech. It's great. Mandatory in every Starshatter list. If you're not running Imhotech, you're doing something wrong. And let's get into it here. We get containment and area denial. Now, this is the board state I'm looking at turn 3. I'm like, okay, can I realistically get this Wraithguard brick? Let's just try. I was like, every part of me wanted to cycle area denial, but I'm like, I already need to try to laser this Wraithguard brick. I mean, they're right in front of the center field. He's like, deal with them. I'm like, let's just see. So hindsight, should have cycled it, as you can see from the card, but this did not go well at all. So we drop in the Tomb Blades. They're going to contain here. We're going to contain here. We're going to shift this Stalker up onto the objective to force these Swooping Hawks to move. And unfortunately, he gets a flat 6 on the Phantasm roll. So he gets them fully out of line of sight. I would have loved to pick them off with the Stalker. And again, same thing. We are just going to full send into this brick right here. And the big bummer, which I'll talk about after the game, is I really misplayed these Doomsday arcs this matchup. Like, the Ingress was nice here, but this one, because he wasn't bringing this unit out, which I guess in hindsight, like, the Doomsday arc is making him respect, like, this side of the table. But at the same time, I would have loved to put these arcs into these things, because this is what I was talking about with these Emetics. They do not do well at all against, like, a 2-up armor save, 4-up invul type situation, right? That's where they start to become a paperweight. They've already done their job in terms of, like, getting rid of some of the little stuff off the table, and now, like, all that's left is this, and I literally cannot shift it. So I shot my entire army. Silent King, Emetics, charging Silent King. I think I killed 3 Wraithguard. So that was good. That was good. Yeah, they are extremely tough. I mean, he rolled definitely above average on that round, but they are very hard to shift. It was good to see. It was good to see because I have not played against Wraithguards. So that happened there. He denied area denial. Let's go into turn 4. So he is going to get a 5 on primary again, but that's the biggest thing. We actually just keep feeding him 5s because we're trying to create that delta in primary because this was a strong matchup for me, so I really needed to get, that 16 plus is what we were looking for in this matchup for my team. So Reanimator came in clutch this round. As you can see, we have it staged up behind the wall next to the king, and we have 11 OC on here because the Reanimator is OC 3. I mean, he's not slacking, and then the king is 8. So we had 11 OC on here to out OC him, which was huge. And basically going into his turn, he is going to bring it down, area denial. He cycles area denial for recover assets, which he also cannot do. Or actually, I apologize. He cycled recover for area denial. So he has area denial and bring it down. As you can see from the cards, it didn't quite go as planned. So he does bring out this brick here. He fell back with the melee Wraithguard outside of 1 inch. Shot with this unit. They did some chip damage. This just goes back to the king. In the early game, I will say, if I back up really quick, you're probably wondering, like, oh, why didn't you just, like, charge the king into the avatar? The problem is if I charge in the king with the avatar, this legit, all of these resources, I think on the charge with this plus that kills the king, I think is the problem, especially if the avatar lives. And I wasn't wanting to put myself in that position turn 2. I was like, okay, let's just go for the sure points here and make sure this happens. So that was, anyways, coming full circle. Let's go back here. So the Wraithguard fall back, shoot here. They charge back in. Basically, it's a wash. They don't kill the king. They do like a couple wounds. The nasty part is with this combo with the Reanimator, essentially what I was doing is I was double reanimating because he's on the point now and I control it. So you can reanimate at the start of the command phase, and then you can also reanimate at the end of the fight phase during your turn if you are on an objective. I believe you have to control it as well, but don't quote me on that. I know you have to be on it, though. So he was essentially healing 43 a turn, and we're just like punching bagging each other back and forth. So we deny his area denial and bring it down for that turn, which was huge. And then going into my turn 4, we're going to get a 10 on primary again. And I'm going to get recover assets and secure no man's land. We already got secure. We're going to recover with Imhotep the Stormlord and this hex mark right here. And same thing, we're just going to try to shoot as much as we can. So this turn, we're basically going to go after this brick here. So we fire the Doomsday Arc. We fire these Tomb Blades, the Emetics, all of it. At this unit, we kill like 3 again, I think. The other nasty part is these guys have a fire back ability. So you can see here I have like the full 5 Emetics. They all stationed right here. The 3 fire. He fires back because we have the same range as 18 inches, unfortunately. So he fires back with 6 of them. I wanted to clean up hopefully more with the Doomsday Arc. Oh, that was the big thing. The Doomsday Arc is the money shot to kill these guys. I roll a 1 CP reroll into a 1. So the one thing I just do not like about Doomsday Arcs, I think in the it's like sometimes it's like when you just really need that damage, you really needed that turn, and it just it's not gonna happen. So he got to fire back pretty much at full strength on one of these units, and he literally just cleaned up the whole squad. So that was cool. And let's see here. So we're gonna go. We have the Emetics right here. Let's fast forward here. And that is pretty much the turn. So the king cleans up more or less the rest of these at this point from his shooting and his combat. We're going to attempt to burn this one to force him away, to try to maybe lock in the 50 on primary. If not, we'll get a 45 and pass it over to him. So this was crazy. So last turn, this is the second spiciest thing in the tournament, and then we're done. So gets 5 points. He still has bring it down. He gets overwhelming force. and Mark for Death. He cycles Mark for Death for overwhelming force. Perfect synergy. He's got 2 units that are both bringing down and overwhelming force. So there is definitely the potential he could get like a 12 on primary this or 12 on secondary this turn with this pull. Like perfect synergy. So he falls back with the Wraith Guard. They fall back and can charge. He's going to deny this point. There's no way this is like, even if I spend the -1 to wound strat, he's still going to auto-see me on the objective. The burn's denied. That's fine. I was like, okay, that's fine. I pull them away, make sure like the king stays alive. The king is basically, let me check here. He's basically at full. I think this one Mynir had like 1 wound on it, so he's down like 5 wounds. This Wraithguard brick, both turns I felt was just rolling like out of his mind, man. I mean, the dev wounds, he got like I think 3 or 4 lethals through, and then like 2 devs or something on this, and so he gets it down. Let's see here. So yeah, so he fires here. He gets the king down to 8 wounds. All right. Then he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna charge in. It's like a 10-inch charge. I'm gonna use a fate dice. Rolls it. He gets double 6s. He gets in the charge, right? So this unit gets in. Okay. The king is at 8 wounds before he charges in. And he forgot. He's like, hey, man, I totally forgot to shoot this Bright Lance. You might have to shoot it. I'm like, dude, go ahead. And again, hey, this goes back to being a good opponent and somebody fun to play against. It's a practice game. If somebody forgets something slightly out of turn, just let him shoot it. Like they're gonna give you the common courtesy back, or I would hope. And at the end of the day, you just always want your opponent to have the best game. Again, that's how you get better. You don't get better by just like, oh no, sorry, it's out of phase. You can't shoot that. So, but I'm building this up because this is what happens. So he takes this freaking Bright Lance, okay? Fires at the king. 3 he rolls a 2. He gets the Eldar reroll, rolls it, hits, rolls to wound. It still has the -1 to wound strat, so he needs 4. He gets like I think a 5, so he wounds. I roll a 1 on my invul, and I'm like, oh god, okay, here we go. It's d6 plus 2 damage on this thing. He rolls a freaking 6, man. 8 damage. Goes down to 7 because the king has the -1 damage, and he's at 1 wound. 1 wound. So Wraithguard come in, charge in. I'm like, okay, here we go. Now they're all AP 0. So I was like, I'm gonna be saving on 2 ups. This is gonna be suspenseful. He ends me 6 wounds, and I'm like, man, I gotta roll these one at a time, man. So I'm literally rolling them in the box. 3, 5, 2, 5, 3. We get it. We were shouting. It was crazy. King lives. Just didn't need to roll a 1. That was like huge. So the king ends up surviving, and that is pretty much the game. So at the end of the turn, or my turn, we're going to get a 10 on primary. We end up burning this one and then hold this one and hold this one. And we get sabotage and assassination, so we just kill this character that's over here. And then maybe a slight error on my part, but they were just short the Tomb Blades here to go sabotage to edge out just 3 more points. So something to be cognizant of, I think, for me. Just a minor error there, but still sabotage for 3. And that's the game. So 91-53 to the Crons. Excellent game against Ben. This Starshatter list felt great. I still don't think I would make really any changes, other than I want to talk about deployment really quick. So a couple things I think I could have done better in this is I already knew that this Stalker, when it scouted, it was going to go over here. And so I didn't need to keep as much space for these Emetics right here. And so in hindsight, I probably should have maybe deployed the unit of 3 as well, because it also would have given me better synergy with the king and his aura, because that was also the kind of the slight bummer, is I did have to put them over here to fire, and then they were outside of the king's range, so they didn't really get the benefit of potentially like ignore mods or rerolls on those turns, which was kind of tough. So something I think I need to be cognizant of, just more better at like where the Stalkers are going to be going first turn. Other than that, I think deployment was pretty sound and what I had in reserve. And I mean, overall, the list felt great. I think the 2 Stalker tuned Tomb Blades is the perfect amount. Like in the early game, to just kind of harass your opponent, keep that primary at bay, and just buy you some time to start cleaning up their stuff. But anyways, yeah, really appreciate you watching. This is a little bit of a longer one today, but hopefully that's okay. And again, really appreciate all the new subscribers here. Super excited to have you here, and just build a community here around just some competitive Warhammer. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.